There's a battle happening right now inside your skull. You cannot feel it because there is no physical pain. You cannot see it because it happens at the cellular level. But it is there every day, every hour, every minute you spend awake. It is a battle for the very structure of your brain, for the pathways your thoughts travel, for the neural grooves that determine who you are and who you will become. On one side of this battle are the forces of modern propaganda, the media, the social networks, the algorithms, the advertising, the entire massive apparatus designed to shape your thinking without your consent. On the other side is you, or rather, the you that you could become if you learn to use the most powerful tool you possess, neuroplasticity. Napoleon Hill spent decades studying the most successful people in history. And one of the things that fascinated him most was what he called the hypnotic rhythm, the process by which repeated ideas become beliefs, and beliefs become realities. Hill understood, long before neuroscience confirmed it, that your brain is not static. Your brain changes constantly in response to what you experience. And that means you can change your brain deliberately, or you can let others change it for you. The question is not whether your brain will change. Neuroplasticity is not an option. Your brain is changing right now as you listen to these words. Synaptic connections are strengthening and weakening in response to what you are learning. Neurons are firing in patterns that have never fired before. Your brain is physically rewiring itself in real time. The only question is who is holding the hammer. Because while you're here, supposedly informing yourself, supposedly entertaining yourself, supposedly connecting with others, there are forces that have learned to use neuroplasticity against you. They have discovered that if they can control what you see, what you hear, what you think repeatedly, they can control who you become. And they have built a massive system funded with billions of dollars dedicated entirely to doing exactly that. Traditional media does it through the repetition of narratives. They show you the same stories over and over from the same angles, with the same interpretations, until you begin to see the world through that lens. Social media does it through algorithms that learn exactly what kind of content keeps you hooked, and then serve you more and more of that content until your perception of reality becomes distorted. Advertising does it through the constant association of products with positive emotions, until you begin to believe that buying certain things will make you happy. All of this is propaganda in the most classical sense of the term, not the crude propaganda of totalitarian regimes with posters and parades and strident speeches, but a much more sophisticated, much more insidious, much more effective propaganda. A propaganda that does not tell you what to think directly, but instead shapes the environment in which your thoughts form. A propaganda that does not force you to do anything, but makes certain choices seem natural, obvious, inevitable. And the most powerful weapon of this propaganda is your own biology. Your brain has a property called experience-dependent plasticity. This means that the experiences you repeat literally sculpt your brain. Neurons that fire together wire together. That is the fundamental principle of neuroplasticity. Every time you think a thought, every time you feel an emotion, every time you perform an action, you're strengthening the neural connections associated with that thought, that emotion, that action. If you spend hours every day watching content that makes you angry, your brain becomes more skilled at anger. The neural pathways of anger strengthen. You become more prone to anger, quicker to anger, more intensely angry when you do get angry. Anger becomes your default state because your brain has been sculpted by the repeated experience of anger. If you spend hours every day watching content that makes you feel inadequate, your brain becomes more skilled at inadequacy. The neural pathways of self-criticism strengthen. You become more prone to feeling insufficient, quicker to feel insufficient, more deeply insufficient when you do feel that way. Inadequacy becomes your default state because your brain has been sculpted by the repeated experience of inadequacy. If you spend hours every day watching content that makes you fearful, your brain becomes more skilled at fear. The neural pathways of anxiety strengthen. You become more prone to fear, quicker to fear, more intensely fearful when you do feel fear. Fear becomes your default state because your brain has been sculpted by the repeated experience of fear. This is not theory. This is basic neuroscience. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine that constantly optimizes itself to efficiently process the experiences it has most frequently. If you give it certain experiences repeatedly, it becomes skilled at processing those experiences. And in becoming skilled at processing them, it begins to seek them out, to create them, to see them where they do not exist. This is the deep mechanism by which propaganda shapes not just what you think, but who you are. Not just your opinions, but your personality. Not just your beliefs, but your character. You're being sculpted from within without even realizing it. Napoleon Hill understood this intuitively. When he spoke of the hypnotic rhythm, he was describing exactly this process. The rhythmic repetition of an idea creates a groove in the mind. That groove deepens with each repetition. Eventually, the idea is no longer something you think, but something you are. It becomes part of your identity. It becomes a filter through which you see everything else. Hill also understood that this process could be used consciously. You could choose the ideas you wanted to engrave in your mind. You could repeat them deliberately until they became part of you. You could use the hypnotic rhythm to program your own brain toward success, wealth, happiness. That is what he taught in Think and Grow Rich. But what Hill could not anticipate was the magnitude of the effort that would be made to use this same process against you. Today, it is not you who chooses the ideas that repeat in your mind. It is the algorithms. It is not you who decides what thoughts to engrave in your brain. It is the platforms. It is not you who controls your hypnotic rhythm. It is the corporations that have learned to exploit your neuroplasticity for their profit. Every time you open a social network, you're handing control of your hypnotic rhythm to an algorithm that has no interest in your well-being. That algorithm has been trained on billions of data points to know exactly what content will keep you watching the longest. And it has discovered that content that makes you angry, that scares you, that makes you feel inadequate, that outrages you, is the content that works best. Because those emotions keep you hooked. They make you want to watch more, comment more, share more. So the algorithm gives you more of that. More anger, more fear, more inadequacy, more outrage. Day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute, is sculpting your brain to be more skilled at these emotions. It is deepening the neural grooves of negativity. It is turning you into a more angry, more fearful, more insecure, more outraged person. And all while you think you are just being entertained, just being informed, just connecting with others. But the algorithm is not the only actor in this battle. Traditional media is also deeply involved. They have discovered that stories that provoke fear and outrage generate the most clicks, the most views, the most revenue. So they give you a constant stream of bad news, of crises, of threats, of outrages. They keep you in a state of constant alert, perpetual anxiety, chronic fear. And meanwhile, your brain is becoming skilled at fear. The neural pathways of anxiety are strengthening. You are becoming a more fearful person. Advertising also plays its role. It constantly shows you images of perfect lives, perfect bodies, perfect relationships, so that you feel inadequate with what you have. Then it shows you products that supposedly will close that gap between what you are and what you should be. And meanwhile, your brain is becoming skilled at inadequacy. The neural pathways of insufficiency are strengthening. You are becoming a more insecure person. All of this is propaganda, not in the sense of blatant lies, though there are plenty of those too, but in the deeper sense of shaping the informational environment to produce certain kinds of people. People who buy certain products. People who vote in certain ways. People who accept certain realities. People who can be controlled. And the vehicle of this propaganda is your own neuroplasticity. Your ability to change in response to experience is being exploited. Your brain is being sculpted without your consent. You're being turned into someone you did not choose to become. But here's the good news. Neuroplasticity works both ways. If your brain can be sculpted by external forces, it can also be sculpted by you. If repeated experiences can create negative grooves, they can also create positive ones. If you can be programmed without your consent, you can also program yourself deliberately. The same tool they use to control, you can be used by you to free yourself. The key is to understand that neuroplasticity is not a passive process. It is not something that happens to you. It is something you can actively direct if you understand how it works. You can choose the experiences you repeat. You can choose the thoughts you cultivate. You can choose the emotions you practice. And by making these choices consistently, you can literally rebuild your brain. This is not superficial positive thinking. This is not just repeating affirmations in front of a mirror. It is a much deeper, much more systematic process. It is about understanding that every moment of your life is an opportunity to sculpt your brain in one direction or another. Every experience is a chisel. Every repetition is a strike. And over time, those strikes accumulate into the sculpture that is you. The question is whether you're holding the chisel or whether someone else is. Let me take you deeper into the neuroscience of this, because understanding the mechanism gives you power over it. Your brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons. Each neuron can form up to 10,000 connections with other neurons. That means the possible connections in your brain are roughly 860 trillion. This is the most complex structure in the known universe. And every experience you have changes these connections. When you learn something new, neurons grow new dendritic spines to connect with other neurons. When you repeat an experience, those connections strengthen. The signal travels faster and more reliably along that pathway. When you stop having an experience, those connections weaken. The dendritic spines retract. The pathway becomes less efficient. This process is happening constantly, silently, invisibly. You cannot feel your neurons growing or retracting. You cannot see your synaptic connections strengthening or weakening. But it is happening. Right now, as you listen to me, your brain is physically changing. New connections are forming. Old ones are being pruned. You are literally not the same person you were when you started watching this video. This is the deepest truth about human identity. You are not a fixed entity. You are a process. You are constant becoming. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus said that you cannot step into the same river twice because the river is always changing. The same is true of you. You cannot meet the same person twice because that person is always changing. Every experience leaves its mark. Every moment sculpts you anew. The propaganda machine understands this. That is why they work so hard to fill your moments with their content. Every minute you spend watching their news, scrolling their feeds, consuming their ads, is a minute they're sculpting your brain. Every repetition of their narratives deepens the grooves. Every exposure to their emotional triggers strengthens the pathways. They're not just trying to convince you of something. They're trying to make you into someone. And they're very, very good at it. The combination of massive data, sophisticated algorithms, and deep understanding of human psychology has created a propaganda machine more powerful than anything in history. The totalitarian regimes of the 20th century could only dream of having this kind of control over their populations. They had posters and speeches and secret police. We have personalized content feeds that know us better than we know ourselves. But here's the thing they do not want you to know. The same mechanisms that make you vulnerable to propaganda also make you capable of resistance. The same neuroplasticity that allows them to sculpt you also allows you to sculpt yourself. The same ability to change in response to experience that makes you programmable also makes you self-programmable. You are not a passive victim of your environment. You are an active agent who can choose your environment. This is the fundamental choice that faces every human being in the modern world. Will you let the algorithm sculpt you? Will you let the media shape you? Will you let the advertisers mold you? Or will you take hold of the chisel and sculpt yourself? Napoleon Hill called this definiteness of purpose, the clear, unwavering commitment to a specific goal. But it is more than just setting a goal. It is about understanding that your purpose must become the organizing principle of your brain. It must become the filter through which you see everything. It must become the groove that all your thoughts travel. When you have a definite purpose, you begin to notice things that relate to that purpose. Opportunities appear that you never saw before. People show up who can help you. Information crosses your path that moves you forward. This is not magic. This is your reticular activating system, the RAS, doing what it does best. It filters the infinite information of the world to show you what matters. But it only knows what matters if you tell it. The propaganda machine has been telling your RAS what matters. It has been programming your filter without your consent. It has been deciding what you notice and what you ignore, and has been doing this for years. No wonder you feel scattered, distracted, pulled in a million directions. Your RAS has been hijacked by forces that do not care about your purpose. But you can take it back. You can reprogram your RAS. You can tell it what matters. And when you do, everything changes. The world begins to cooperate with your purpose. Not because the world changes, but because you change. You start seeing what was always there but was being filtered out. You start noticing opportunities that were always present but were being ignored. You start moving toward your purpose because your brain is now organized around that purpose. This is the deepest secret of success. It is not about working harder. It is not about being smarter. It is about organizing your brain around a single purpose so that everything you experience feeds that purpose. It is about using your neuroplasticity deliberately instead of letting it be used against you. Let me give you a concrete example of how this works. Imagine two people walking down the same street. One is an architect. The other is a botanist. The architect notices the buildings, the styles, the materials, the structures. The botanist notices the plants, the species, the health, the arrangements. They're walking down the same street, but they're having completely different experiences. Why? Because their brains are organized differently. Their RAS filters are set differently. They notice what matters to them. Now imagine that the architect has been spending hours every day looking at social media content about politics. Her RAS is now also filtering for political information. She starts noticing political signs, political conversations, political angles in everything. Her brain has been reprogrammed by the algorithm. The botanist has been spending hours every day looking at content about rare plants. His RAS is filtering for botanical information. He notices plants everywhere. His brain has been reprogrammed by his interest. Who is controlling the filter? In the first case, the algorithm. In the second case, the botanist himself. The architect did not choose to become obsessed with politics. The algorithm chose for her. The botanist did choose to become obsessed with plants. He chose for himself. Same mechanism, different director. This is what is at stake. Not whether your brain will be programmed. It will be. The question is who will do the programming. Now, let me take you into the practical realm. How do you actually do this? How do you take back control of your neuroplasticity? How do you reprogram your brain for your purpose instead of letting the algorithm do it for you? The first step is awareness. You must become conscious of what is currently programming you. For the next week, I want you to observe your media consumption with detachment. Do not judge yourself. Just notice. What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you scrolling through? What emotions do these things evoke? What thoughts do they leave you with? What do they make you want to do? You will likely discover patterns you are not aware of. You might notice that certain platforms leave you feeling anxious. Others leave you feeling inadequate. Others leave you feeling angry. Others leave you feeling empty. These are not accidents. These are the intended effects. The platforms have been designed to produce these emotions because these emotions keep you engaged. The second step is elimination. You must cut out the content that is programming you against your purpose. This is not easy. The platforms have made their content highly addictive. They have hooked you with intermittent reinforcement, with personalized recommendations, with notifications designed to trigger your dopamine. When you try to stop, you will experience withdrawal. You will feel anxious, restless, like you're missing something. This is normal. This is expected. This is the addiction speaking. But you must push through it. You must delete the apps. You must block the websites. You must create friction between you and the content that is harming you. For at least 30 days, you must go cold turkey on all non-essential digital consumption. No social media, no news sites, no YouTube rabbit holes, no mindless scrolling, just you and your thoughts and the world around you. The third step is intention. You must consciously choose what will program you instead. You must select a subject, a skill, a purpose that you want to pursue, and you must immerse yourself in it. Read books about it. Listen to podcasts about it. Have conversations about it. Think about it when you wake up and when you go to sleep. Let it become the lens through which you see everything. This is how you reprogram your RAS. This is how you tell your brain what matters. And once your brain knows what matters, it will start finding it everywhere. Opportunities will appear. Connections will form. Information will cross your path. You will begin to move toward your purpose with an ease that feels almost magical. But it is not magic. It is neurobiology finally working for you instead of against you. The fourth step is repetition. You must understand that one exposure is not enough. One book is not enough. 1 week of focus is not enough. You must repeat. You must immerse consistently over time. You must let the experiences accumulate. Each repetition deepens the groove. Each exposure strengthens the pathway. Over time, your purpose becomes etched into the very structure of your brain. It becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. This is why Napoleon Hill emphasized the hypnotic rhythm. The rhythmic repetition of an idea is what engraves it in the mind. You cannot just think about your purpose once and expect it to take hold. You must think about it repeatedly. You must surround yourself with it constantly. You must let it saturate your consciousness until it becomes unconscious. The fifth step is protection. You must guard your brain against the constant attempts to hijack it. The propaganda machine never stops. The algorithms never rest. They're always trying to pull you back in, to reprogram you for their purposes. You must be vigilant. You must maintain your boundaries. You must regularly check yourself to ensure you have not slipped back into old patterns. This is not a one-time fix. This is a lifelong practice. The world will always try to sculpt you. The question is whether you will let it. Now let me take you deeper into the philosophy of this, because there are profound implications here for how you understand yourself and your place in the world. The French philosopher Michel Foucault wrote extensively about what he called biopower, the power that operates not through force or coercion, but through the management of life itself. Biopower does not tell you what to do. It shapes the conditions under which you make choices. It makes certain choices seem natural and others seem impossible. It works not on your actions, but on your very sense of what is possible. This is exactly what the propaganda machine does. It does not tell you what to think. It shapes the informational environment so that certain thoughts become natural and others become unthinkable. It works not on your beliefs, but on your perception of reality. It makes you believe that you are freely choosing when in fact your choices have been shaped by forces you do not see. The German philosopher Martin Heidegger wrote about what he called thrownness, the idea that we are always thrown into a world we did not choose, a world that shapes us before we have any say in the matter. We are born into a particular culture, a particular language, a particular set of assumptions that we did not create. And these things shape us profoundly, often without our awareness. The propaganda machine exploits this thrownness. It inserts itself into the world you are thrown into. It becomes part of the background assumptions, the taken-for-granted reality that you never think to question. It shapes you before you have a chance to shape yourself. But Heidegger also wrote about authenticity, the possibility of taking ownership of your own existence, of choosing who you will be rather than simply accepting who you have been made. This is exactly what we are talking about. Taking ownership of your own brain, choosing your own programming, becoming authentic in a world that constantly tries to make you inauthentic. The American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote about self-reliance, the idea that you must trust your own thoughts, your own instincts, your own sense of what is true, rather than simply accepting what others tell you. He understood that society is in a conspiracy against the individuality of its members, that the world wants you to conform, to fit in, to be predictable. The propaganda machine is the modern expression of this conspiracy. It wants you to conform to its narratives, to fit into its categories, to be predictable for its algorithms. It wants you to be a consumer, a voter, a data point, not a sovereign individual with your own purpose and your own destiny. Emerson would tell you to trust yourself, To believe that your own thoughts, however strange they seem, are more true than the thoughts of the crowd. To have the courage to follow your own path, even when everyone else is going the other way. This is the essence of sovereignty. This is what it means to be free. Now let me bring this back to Napoleon Hill. Hill wrote about the mastermind, the idea that when two or more minds come together in harmony, they create a third mind that is greater than the sum of its parts. This is a powerful concept for positive purposes. But the propaganda machine has created its own version of the mastermind, an invisible collective that shapes your thoughts without your awareness. When you are constantly exposed to the same narratives from multiple sources, those narratives become reinforced. They gain power. They become harder to resist. This is why propaganda works best when it comes from many directions at once. When the news says one thing, your friends on social media say another, and the entertainment you watch says a third, but they all point in the same direction, you are being masterminded without your consent. The only defense is to create your own mastermind, to surround yourself with people, ideas, and experiences that support your purpose, to build a network of influences that pull you toward who you want to become rather than who they want you to be. This is why community is so important. This is why you need people who share your values and your vision. Alone, you are vulnerable. Together, you are strong. I want to share with you the story of someone who understood all of this and used it to transform his life. His name was Viktor Frankl. He was a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps. In the camps, he was stripped of everything: his family, his possessions, his work, his dignity. But he discovered something remarkable. Even in those horrific conditions, he could still choose his attitude. He could still choose how to respond to his circumstances. Frankl wrote that everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. This is the deepest freedom, the freedom to choose how you respond to what happens to you. And this freedom is rooted in neuroplasticity, in the ability of your brain to change in response to experience, in the power of your mind to shape itself even when it cannot shape its environment. Frankl used this freedom to find meaning in his suffering. He focused on the love he felt for his wife. He focused on the work he would do after the war. He focused on the lessons he was learning that could help others. He programmed his brain for meaning and purpose even in the most terrible circumstances. And he survived when so many others did not. After the war, Frankl wrote Man's Search for Meaning, one of the most important books of the 20th century. In it, he argued that the primary drive in human life is not pleasure, as Freud thought, but meaning. That we will endure almost any suffering if we believe it has meaning. That the search for meaning is what makes us human. This is what the propaganda machine takes from you. Not just your time, not just your attention, but your meaning. It fills your mind with trivialities, with outrage, with fear, with distraction, so that you never have the space to ask the deep questions. What is my purpose? What do I stand for? What do I want my life to mean? It keeps you so busy consuming that you never have time to create. It keeps you so distracted that you never have silence to think. It keeps you so entertained that you never have boredom to discover what truly matters. But you can take it back. You can reclaim your meaning. You can choose your purpose. You can program your brain for what matters to you. And when you do, everything changes. Not because the world changes, but because you change. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start finding meaning where you once found emptiness. You start living with intention instead of just reacting. This is what is at stake in the battle between neuroplasticity and propaganda. Not just your attention, but your very self. Who you are and who you will become. Whether you will be sculpted by forces that do not care about you, or whether you will take the chisel in your own hand. The choice is yours, and you make it every moment of every day. Every time you pick up your phone, you are choosing. Every time you open an app, you are choosing. Every time you watch a video, read an article, scroll a feed, you are choosing. You are choosing who will hold the chisel. You are choosing what grooves will deepen in your brain. You are choosing who you will become. Most people make this choice unconsciously. They do not realize they are choosing. They think they're just passing time, just being entertained, just staying informed. But every moment is a choice. Every experience is a sculptor. And over time, the accumulation of these choices becomes a life. So I ask you now, consciously, deliberately, who do you want to be? What do you want your brain to become skilled at? What grooves do you want to deepen? What purpose do you want to organize your perception around? These are the most important questions you will ever answer. And you answer them not with words, but with actions. Not with intentions, but with habits. Not with wishes, but with choices. The propaganda machine wants you to answer these questions with its answers. It wants you to become skilled at outrage, at fear, at inadequacy, at consumption. It wants you to deepen the grooves of distraction, of anxiety, of dissatisfaction. It wants you to organize your perception around its narratives, its products, its priorities. But you do not have to accept its answers. You can choose your own. You can become skilled at focus, at creativity, at love, at purpose. You can deepen the grooves of calm, of clarity, of meaning. You can organize your perception around your own vision, your own values, your own destiny. This is the deepest freedom, the freedom to become who you choose to be. And it is available to you right now, in this moment, regardless of your circumstances. Because no one can control what you pay attention to except you. No one can control what you think about except you. No one can control what grooves deepen in your brain except you. The propaganda machine can suggest. It can tempt. It can distract. It can manipulate. But it cannot force. It cannot make you pay attention to anything. It cannot make you think anything. It cannot make you become anything. Only you can do that. And you do it with every choice you make. So choose wisely. Choose deliberately. Choose consciously. Because you're not just passing time. You are not just being entertained. You are not just staying informed. You are sculpting your brain. You are becoming who you will be. And the only question is whether you will hold the chisel or whether you will let someone else hold it for you. This is the battle of neuroplasticity versus propaganda. And it is the most important battle of your life. Now let me give you a practical protocol for winning this battle. A step-by-step system based on neuroscience and the principles of Napoleon Hill. This is the Sovereign Brain Protocol, and it will take you 90 days to complete. Phase 1 is awareness and elimination. Days 1 through 30. For the first 30 days, you will become intensely aware of what is currently programming your brain. You will keep a log of everything you consume. Every video, every article, every social media post, every news story. At the end of each day, you will review your log and ask yourself, what did this content make me feel? What did it make me think? What did it make me want? Was this serving my purpose or someone else's? You will also begin eliminating content that does not serve your purpose. Start with the worst offenders, the platforms that leave you feeling anxious, angry, inadequate, empty. Delete the apps. Block the websites. Create friction. Make it harder to access the content that is harming you. You do not have to eliminate everything at once, but you must start. You must begin the process of clearing space in your mind. Phase 2 is intention and immersion. Days 31 through 60. Now that you have cleared the noise, you must fill the silence with purpose. You will choose one subject, one skill, one area of focus that aligns with your definite major purpose, and you will immerse yourself in it. You will read books. You will listen to podcasts. You will have conversations. You will think about it constantly. You will let it become the organizing principle of your perception. During this phase, you must be disciplined. Your brain will try to pull you back to old patterns. It will crave the dopamine hits of distraction. You must resist. You must stay focused on your purpose. You must repeat, repeat, repeat until the grooves deepen and the new patterns become automatic. Phase 3 is integration and expansion. Days 61 through 90. Now that your brain is being programmed by your purpose, you must integrate this programming into every area of your life. You must let your purpose inform your decisions, your relationships, your work, your leisure. You must become your purpose. Not someone who has a purpose, but someone who is a purpose. During this phase, you will also begin to expand. You will share what you have learned. You will teach others. You will create something that expresses your purpose in the world. This is not optional. Purpose that is not expressed withers. Purpose that is not shared dies. You must give your purpose away to keep it. After 90 days, you will have fundamentally rewired your brain. The neural pathways of distraction will have weakened. The neural pathways of focus will have strengthened. Your RES will be filtering for your purpose. Your hypnotic rhythm will be working for you instead of against you. You will be a different person than you were when you started. But you must continue. This is not a one-time fix. The propaganda machine never stops. The algorithms never rest. You must maintain your practice. You must guard your attention. You must regularly check yourself to ensure you have not slipped back. Sovereignty is not a destination. It is a continuous practice. I want to leave you with one final thought. The ancient Greeks had a concept called paideia. It meant the cultivation of the self through education and practice. The idea that becoming a good person required deliberate effort, conscious choice, sustained practice. You were not born excellent. You became excellent through cultivation. This is what we're talking about. The cultivation of your own brain. The deliberate shaping of your own mind. The conscious choice of who you will become. The propaganda machine offers you a different kind of paideia. It offers to cultivate you for its purposes, to shape you into a consumer, a voter, a data point. But you can choose your own cultivation. You can become excellent on your own terms. Napoleon Hill wrote about the invisible counselors, the minds that guide you toward your destiny. But those counselors are not out there. They are in here. They are the parts of you that have been cultivated toward excellence. They're the grooves in your brain that lead toward your purpose. They're the neural pathways that have been deepened by deliberate practice. Your invisible counselors are the best versions of yourself that you have cultivated through conscious choice. And they're always with you, always available, always ready to guide you. But only if you have cultivated them, only if you have deepened their grooves, only if you have made them part of who you are. So cultivate, choose, practice, become. The battle between neuroplasticity and propaganda is raging in your brain right now. And you're the only one who can decide who wins. I will see you on the other side.